One mic.
All I need is one mic.
What's the name of the show?
One mic with Big Mike.
You know, ain't nobody getting hurt, ain't nobody, there's no crime being committed.
And they say his style is too urban for the radio.
This is real life stuff that's happened to me.
Well, you know what?
You, and you.
One mic with Big Mike.
I like to be able to do what I want to do.
A sports talk show, but no subject matter is off limits.
Meek Mill's concert is not called the Hell Yeah I Bang Khloe Kardashian concert.
And now, your host.
Put your hands together for the one, the only
Big Mike.
All I need is one mic.
Man, hell yeah. Whew. Welcome back from the weekend. Welcome back. It's been a gloomy weekend here in the ATL for all my people listening locally. Hope you guys, wherever you're listening, except from here, I hope you guys had a much more beautiful weekend than we had here in the ATL. Either way, we're back. Back with a fun show tonight. Hopefully, a fun show tonight, right here on Spreaker.com. You guys make sure you sign up for your free Spreaker account, and once you do that, make sure you follow my show. The number one, MIC, WITH, BIGMIKE. And once you do that, you can check me out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on Spreaker live. And then jump on in the interactive chat room. You'll see a little thought bubble at the bottom of the screen. Just click on that, and you will appear in the chat room, and you can be a quasi part of the show, a little bit of part of the show. You know, you can interject your thoughts. You can disagree. You can agree. You can start your own chat with someone else in the chat room. It's really cool if you guys want to go that route. I know some of you guys like to just listen, which I'm cool with that too. Whatever. I got enough gas to last me for 2 hours usually. Also, make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram with the same handle, One Mic with Big Mike, the number one, MIC, WITH, BIGMIKE, and my Facebook page. Like that joint, man. Facebook.com/ONEMIC, WITH, BIGMIKE. Now, before we get started today, I went to bed last night in a very, very foul mood, man. And I set myself up for it. There wasn't really nothing on TV. I wasn't trying to really check out that whole Bulls-Lakers thing. 'Cause it's just getting to the point where now it's like, the whole Kobe Bryant thing, it's like, I've never had this type of situation, but I've heard about it. Like when you have a dog your whole life, right? And then the dog, is like suffering from something and is, you got to go ahead and just put it down. Sparky's got to go. It's kind of like that with me. You know what I mean? Every now and then, he'll do a turnaround or hit a three. Last night he hit like 4 buckets in a row and everybody was like losing their damn mind. Like, to me, that's condescending. This is Kobe freaking Bryant, man. You know what I mean? Like, that's nothing. But because Kobe's experienced some injuries, got a lot of miles on him, like every little thing he does is worth a standing ovation. I'll let you guys have that, man. Speaking of Kobe Bryant, NBA, and all that stuff, at 7:30, my guy Gerald Brown, he's the host of the Bottom Line Sports Show on SiriusXM. He'll join me at 7:30, and we'll get into some of that stuff, too. I got a little bit of bone to pick with him as well, so we'll do all that at 7:30. But before we get into, the actual setup of the show, I got to tell you guys why I went to bed feeling the way I felt last night. Like I said, I wasn't trying to just look at this whole basketball game because it wasn't, I got, my drawers got kind of sore from the first joint, from the Cavs and the Oklahoma City Thunder game. Trash. So anyway, I started looking at this documentary on HBO about the dude that got his head cut off. The reporter by ISIS, like early on in the early stages of ISIS. And I'm looking at it, man. It's real tough, man. It's tough the stomach. But then that goes off, and I said, all right, let me get some levity back into my frame of thought, my frame of mind. Now it's like 11:30 at night. I'm getting ready to wind it on down and take it on to the bed. So I turned on to Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. If you hadn't seen that show, man, it's hilarious. It's informative, but it's hilarious as well. And so I'm looking at that. But then he gets to the end of the show where he gets into the main topic of the show, and the topic of the show is abortion. And for people who love to run around and holler, America's the greatest country in the world, whether that's true or not, I don't know. I ain't been to a lot of the countries in the world, and to make that assessment, I haven't lived in all the countries in the world. But for the people who love that that tagline. Like this issue, this abortion issue, and people love to call it a woman's issue. I call it a woman's issue, but it seems to be controlled by men and women who are trying to advance in male dominated arenas. So what I found out is that the Roe versus Wade thing, that legalized abortion, that's still on the books. But like in 1992 or so, or maybe it was 2002, I don't know, the government passed another law allowing states to not necessarily take Roe versus Wade off the books, but just make it hella hard for someone to obtain an abortion. And at the end of the thing, he got to the story about this young 13-year-old girl that was raped. And then she drove like 4 hours, because that's part of the thing. Like, the restrictions are so strict that, like, some places like Alabama, I think, has like one abortion clinic for the whole state. Or something crazy like that. So she drives 4 hours to this place, right? Only for the lady to tell her that she can't help her because of some ridiculous part of the rule or whatever. This lady's like crying. One of the nurses at the place, she's crying because she can't help the girl. And the only place that she can go to get this done is San Antonio, and pay $5,000 to get it done. 1, 2, she'll have to pay, actually to get there, to stay there for 3 days. It's like, come on, man. How is that even a thing in America? This young lady has been traumatized. Obviously, she's a victim of rape, and through that horrible situation was impregnated, and she don't want to have to be reminded of this pregnancy for the rest of her. I mean, this horrible rape for the rest of her life. But America, greatest country in the world, is making her do it. So, I saw that, and I just went to bed in like a real foul mood. I woke up in a foul mood today, and then it was all gloomy and rainy outside. And I was like, you know what? Pull back. I at least get to do a show tonight, right? I didn't do a show on Friday. I was having technical issues. My repairman, he sucks. By the way, he is also me. Host, producer, web guy, social media guy, and repairman. Yeah. All 5 of them suck, by the way, and they all 5 happen to be me. So yeah, that just kind of it just put me in a bad place mentally, you know what I mean? So got up this morning, downstairs to my little home gym, got a nice little, it's a good workout I found out lately, you know what I mean? I've been doing like once a week with just resistance bands, not the free weights, and yeah, them resistance bands kick your ass, man. Like, I thought it was going to be like a tapering down from the free weights. Nope. Nope, not at all. So I did that, and I feel a lot better today. I still don't feel good about that situation, but, who am I? I'm one guy. One guy and one mic. One mic with Big Mike, of course. So that's that. I just wanted to get that off my chest before I got into the actual meat and bones of the show here. Mentioned already, Gerald Brown, the Bottom Line Sports Show on SiriusXM. I think they do the show on Saturday and Sunday. I checked it out a little bit on Sunday. Yeah, Sunday. And like last Saturday, I checked out a little bit of it as well. I like what those brothers are doing, man. And it's actually a good time to have him on, not just because he's a basketball guy, or he has a basketball show, NBA show, but because he is a Negro. He is a black man. And one of the topics I have on the agenda today is talk about what one of ESPN's top guys, or the top guy at ESPN, as a matter of fact, had to say about the amount of African Americans or blacks in the realm of sports media. So it'd be a good time to have that conversation with him. Also, at 8 o'clock, since we got a guest at 7:30, I'll do On This Day, where we take a daily look back at some of the things that happened on this particular day in sports. I want to talk about this crazy, last week we got into the Peyton Manning situation, this guy named Shaun King. For those of you who don't know who he is, he's kind of he's an activist. He's involved in a couple of things. He's sometimes I think some of his takes on race are a little bit over the top, but for what it's worth, I think for the most part they come from a good place. You know what I mean? But he wrote this article about Cam Newton in the New York Daily News, I think it was. And that it was over the last weekend, and that following Monday, I think Jason Whitlock sat in for Colin Cowherd on his show on Fox Sports 1. And he kind of just was going in on this dude. You know what I mean? He was talking about him, questioning him as a professional. He's not even a journalist and all this kind of stuff, and talking about how he placed himself within the story, and how he what else did he say? That the things he was saying about Peyton Manning came from a personal bias, and he published something that was one-sided, which was a legal document that was made available to him. That was put forth by her lawyers, the woman, Dr. Norright, that Peyton Manning's accused of sexually harassing or sexually abusing, or whichever category you prefer to put it in. Back in 1996. So the whole thing came to a head, I think Friday. I didn't hear it on Friday. I heard it last night. It just came up when I was doing some reading, and like I said, I was watching TV and just trying to continuously read about things. And I saw this, and I listened to this audio of Jason Whitlock again filling in for Colin Cowherd on Friday, and he had the guy on. Now, no way do I think this was his idea, but it got real stupid, real quick, and I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to try to talk about it a little bit before we talk to Gerald Brown. So yeah, that's going to be a thing. Also, NFL Combine, the guys report tomorrow, Tuesday. I think everything starts up with like the interviews and things of that nature on Wednesday. I love the Combine, man. I do. I love, and people think it's like the underwear Olympics, and people say it doesn't make a difference. And maybe certain parts of it doesn't anymore. Maybe certain parts of it is kind of antiquated. But the NFL, as they are probably the most reactionary league that we have of the three majors, they're proposing maybe some changes will be made going forward. So I want to talk about some of that as well. Oh, and the Atlanta Hawks, ladies and gentlemen, for my people here in Atlanta, they've now dropped 3 straight at the crib. And tonight at 8 o'clock, the Golden State Warriors coming to town. Good news. Good news. And guess who else made the show? Your boy, the quote-unquote honorable Minister Farrakhan. Yeah, today is going to be, this is why I'm glad that I'm able to do this, man, because it's gonna really lift my spirit, because there's a lot of, like I bring my own idiocy to the show and stupidity. This, now, I've been joined by other stupid people, and it feels so good. And then we'll maybe we'll get a little bit serious when Gerald Brown comes on, but maybe not, because like I said, I do have a bone to pick with him, a little bit of a bone. Okay, now back to this Jason Whitlock and Shaun King thing, and like I said, I'm not sure that everyone's aware of who Shaun King is. He's not really that public of a figure. Like I don't know. I know of him through a friend of mine who has some dealings with him, and told me that I should follow him on Twitter some years ago. And I followed him. I saw what he was about. I ain't really feel like, I'm not really that dude. You know what I mean? So I stopped following him a little while ago. Not for anything, like any personal type of situation. Like I said, I don't know the guy, but, my Twitter feed at the time when I only had one, it was just full of like ratchetness, fun, and it wasn't a whole lot of, Cornell West and Shaun King and Al Sharpton, and I don't like Twitter. Sometimes Twitter's a good place to get like breaking news, but when I want things fleshed out, very few things can be fleshed out in 140 characters or less. You know what I mean? So I try to keep perspective as it relates to Twitter and things that involve very serious matters like racism and people getting gunned down in the streets and folks not having clean water to drink in America, things like that. I'd rather get like the long form of those things, especially long form factually written things about those issues, rather than getting someone's opinion off the rip. You know what I mean? Because I think we run into a lot of problems when we do that. So, Jason Whitlock, like I said, last Monday, he started talking about this dude, and you could tell that there was something. You know how you can tell when there's something personal behind what someone's saying about someone else. Because like you think about it, it's like, why the hell is Jason Whitlock? This was my thoughts. I was like, why the hell is he going so hard in defense of Peyton Manning? Like, that's weird. Not saying that that because he's black. Because I mean, if you listen to the show, you know how I feel about that. Just because you share the same skin color with somebody, it doesn't obligate you to be on their proverbial side. Nah. But he was just really, really defending Peyton Manning to the point where I'm like, all right, this ain't about the quarterback of the Denver Broncos. It's something else. And then he ended up coming out with it. He ended up talking about how this guy Shaun King, he interviewed him when he was running the still yet to launch ESPN. It was supposed to be like the Black Grantland, undefeated. From what I'm understanding, it's supposed to launch again by year's end, but we've heard that before. And he interviewed this guy Shaun King for a position, and he starts talking about how they found him to be like full of crap, and not the stories that he told were unreliable, and they couldn't vet the stories that he told, and these things, and really kind of like punishing this dude's character. And he started talking about the allegations, like people who know who Shaun King is understand he's a very fair-skinned dude, and to the point where people have. It's hard for me to say accuse. It's not like it's a crime, but people have said that he's actually a Caucasian man. The whole Rachel Dolezal thing. He's like the male version of that. He's been passing as a black man, and also he has himself entrenched in the quote unquote fight against racism. And just to address that real quick, personally, I don't really feel the need to even worry about that too much in any way, shape, or form. Because it's not like if some dude was passing himself off as a black man and running around and raping and robbing people and killing people, that'd be a problem. But if this dude he says he's biracial, and he says he's biracial. He's not a white man. So, but if he was, I don't know how many people are listening to this right now. Go out of their way to raise money for the victims of of police violence. Okay, yeah, I hang up and listen. Not many. So no matter, I don't care what color he is. If what he's doing is good for not just black people but people, who cares, man? You know what I mean? We live in a society right now where people talk about like gender identity and identifying yourself as this, that, and the other. You know what? Knock yourself out. You know what I mean? Knock yourself right on out. Just treat people right, man. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, that's what I'm about. I don't care what you say you are or who you say you are or what you want to be or all these things. I don't care. If you were born some kind of way or who cares? How do you treat other people? That's pretty much what it boils down to. So, Jason Whitlock is accusing. I'm saying accusing. He's bringing up these rumors and allegations about him, about how he took money from an organization that he started, and so forth and so on. Right. So, this Friday, they actually had him on the show. Like I said, I didn't hear the show, but the internet. I got this off of Mediaite.com. And it came up in my little, my little app that I have that gives me all, the sports stories, anything that's happening. And I saw this and I was like, okay, well, what the hell happened? And I guess the headline caught me. It says, After Twitter feud, Jason Whitlock interview of Shaun King devolved into a crap show, but not crap show, the Sugar Honey Iced Tea show. And I was like, okay, you got my attention. Let's go. So it's like 30 minutes long. I think I posted it on my Facebook page, facebook.com/ONEMICWITHBIGMIKE. If I haven't, by the end of the night, it will be there. So it starts off very, very, in a very, very tense way. And this is why I know that this wasn't Whitlock's idea to have this guy on. Colin Cowherd's producers, and I would have probably done the same thing as a producer. And I used to produce that. If you're going to get on air and like really just tear somebody down and tear somebody's work down, yeah, you got to man up and face them and talk to them on you can't be that. You can't hide behind a microphone. That's ridiculous. So in saying that, if anyone knows Stephen A. Smith and he'd like to appear on my show, by all means. But so Shaun King, the interview starts and he's trying to like add some perspective to Jason Whitlock's take on Shaun King's article, right? Because he feels as though he's this man who initially wrote a Facebook post about how the media treats Cam Newton versus the way the media treats Peyton Manning after the Super Bowl was over with, right? And so after that, the article about the sexual abuse came up. So now Jason Whitlock is on this whole, where I was going was he was calling in, or they were calling him, or whatever it was. The interview starts. He said, before we get there, I want to just let people know, I want to frame this conversation properly as it relates to you, Jason Whitlock. This is Shaun King talking to Jason Whitlock. And then Whitlock hangs up on him and says, no, this is not going to be a personal attack thing. We can save this for Twitter and blah, 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 blah. And then they bring him back 2, 3, 4 more times. And finally, the producer says, look, this needs to happen. Let him say what he's going to say and move on from that. Because he wanted to start the interview by saying, why did you inject yourself personally into this interview? And my man, he's trying to explain to the audience, to people who may not know about some of the things that Jason Whitlock's been involved in, like the firing of his previous personal assistant, who was a female, when he was at ESPN and trying to staff the Undefeated, and firing her for speaking out of place and not knowing her place, something along those lines. And she actually brought up like gender discrimination things as it related to that issue. And ESPN also, his former employer, actually issued a statement saying that, yeah, that's inappropriate. What he did was inappropriate. So there's not one of these things where like it's a rumor. His employer confirmed that it happened. So he was trying to frame it like, okay, this is a guy defending. This is a guy who's been accused of having a sexual bias in the workplace, defending another guy who did something inappropriate to a female. And I thought that was acceptable. You know what I mean? If you want to do that, I mean, if you want to attack me, and I don't think what Shaun King did was a personal attack in that sense. It's exactly what he said it was. It was framing the conversation properly so people knew exactly who the person was speaking on the behalf of, or trying to speak on the behalf of Peyton Manning, and be the gatekeeper of all things journalistic, if that's a word, right? So he says, quote, "You do have a demonstrated history of bullying and sexism." And he's talking about this young lady, his former assistant, Erin Bucher. He goes on to say that Whitlock once tried to recruit him, which I just mentioned. And for whatever reason, Jason Whitlock says to him, and he goes into detail. He's like, dude, you found me out of the blue. I didn't apply for no job. I didn't call you. You called me. And Jason Whitlock's retort to that was, yeah, there's a difference between an interview and me recruiting you. He says recruitment ends with a scholarship offer. An interview ends with, escort this guy out. He's full of crap. I don't know. I don't know if Jason Whitlock actually knows. Like, and this this might rub some people the wrong way. Women, I'm gonna say that. He argues the way a woman argues. Like, he'll ignore the overall point and take some minuscule detail and use that as the basis for his retort. For example, when Shaun King points out another fact about Jason Whitlock, that he didn't, in the time that he was at ESPN running the Undefeated, he never published an article written by a female. So the way he kind of says it was, in your 27 months there, you never published an article written by a female. And he said, I wasn't there for 27 months. And he's like, so what? Okay, what was it, 19 months, 12 months, 6 months? You never published an article written by a female. Then this dude, his reply to that was, yeah, I never hired a female, because, of course, that makes your argument better. Like, Jason Whitlock is a clown bag, cuz. And when he thought he was going to get this guy on the radio and treat him like a little girl, like a child. You know what I mean? And my man even mentions it. He's like, look, dude, I'm not your underling. You're not my mentor. You're not my teacher. You're not going to speak down to me. He starts talking about the fact that, this was one I love this one. When he told him, he said, throughout history, there's always been black men like you. The black men that white men pay to say what they're thinking. And I was like, damn. And that, you could tell it cut him deep, because he went right back to that bag of, you're a white man posing as a black man and blah, 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 blah. What did he actually say? He says, because he starts talking about Jason Whitlock getting into these beefs with people. He says, I'm equal opportunity about who I go after. This is a quote. That's why I go after a white guy at the New York Daily News, masquerading, working on his identity issues through Peyton Manning and others, end quote. Yeah. Yeah. He's a damn idiot, dude. He is a damn idiot. He's the same dude that said, he said Beyonce's halftime report was cowardice. And then when King says he called Beyonce a coward, he said, no, there's a difference between saying someone's a coward and what they did was cowardice. Well, is there really? That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, where like the overall issue gets pushed to the side for some minuscule detail. And so what was King's retort today? He says something about he says two people. He said, he says, quote, you and the Klan believe that performance was cowardly. Jason Whitlock and the Klan. Outstanding. Yeah, dude. Like, I love to see people get they damn mail read right on the damn air. You know what I mean? Because what you try to do, you try to set this dude up for some sort of ambush and act like he wasn't going to be that dude. Like I say, I've never heard that dude talk or speak on anything, to be honest with you. He starts talking, and then all that, like, when you talking to a grown man and you consider yourself wanting to keep talking down to him, like, what you got to understand is, what you don't understand is all that crap. Like, that's type of stuff you get your ass whooped over. I'm being dead serious about that. Like, you can not like somebody, that's cool, fine, whatever. But to just blatantly just disrespect another person because of whatever reason, you feel inadequate and all that kind of stuff. Well, are you a journalist? And he starts telling him, like, look, man, I'm a published author. I've written, he said I've written like 80-some articles since November for the New York Daily News. But did you go to journalism school? I'd be like, Negro, did you go to broadcasting school? You on the radio? Like, man, like, stuff like that, I'm way past good on. I'll tell you what, man, we'll pick this up after I talk to Gerald Brown, because I'm not done with this. I'm not done with this, and I'm not done with, like, one of the overriding issues in this, something that happened in the world of ESPN and their big boss making a comment, or he had some very pointed things to say about the lack of color within the world of sports media. So we'll do that. I'll actually ask Gerald about it as well. We'll do that right here next on One Mic with Big Mike, being heard on Spreaker.com and the Spreaker app via your any mobile device, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, live at 7 p.m. Also, make sure you guys are following me on Spreaker, Twitter, and Instagram at the same handle, One Mic with Big Mike, the number 1, MIC, WITH, BIG, MIKE. and Facebook.com/ONEMICWITHBIGMIKE. I'll be right back. When I get back, I'll talk to Gerald Brown of SiriusXM's NBA channel, the Bottom Line Sports Show.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, game show host, father of 5, and all-around big dude. I'm also an expert on drama. I know all kinds of drama. There's the good kind that comes with having a house full of kids. There's the bad kind, like season-ending injuries. There's the necessary kind, like having an agent in Hollywood. And there's silly drama, like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your high school diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org.
Or text diploma to 97779. Message and data rates may apply. Reply STOP to opt out. That's diploma to 97779. And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Hey, Nick Cannon here. So of course we all know there's lots of talent in America. But unfortunately, there's something else we've got way too much of. Childhood hunger. 17 million kids struggle with it in this country. But here's the thing. This problem is entirely solvable. Seriously, we already produce more than enough healthy, nutritious food in this country to feed every single last one of those hungry kids. We just need a way to get it to them. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks is out there every day gathering surplus food to give hope to hungry kids and their families all across the country. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together we're Feeding America.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to a Monday evening. This is One Mic with Big Mike. I, of course, am Big Mike. Being heard right here on Spreaker.com and the Spreaker app for all of your mobile devices. Make sure you guys sign up for your free Spreaker account. That's Spreaker, Spreaker. Sign up for your account, and once you do that, go ahead and give my show a follow. Search for my show, the number 1, MICWITHBIGMIKE. Follow it. Then jump on in the interactive chat room every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, starting at 7 p.m. We sit here waiting on Gerald Brown to call in. Actually, we do have Gerald Brown now, but let me finish setting up the show real quick. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter and Instagram as well at the number 1, MICWITHBIGMIKE. On Facebook.com, that's my Facebook page. I don't know what you're necessarily supposed to do with it. Like it, share it, comment on it. I don't know, but I'll give you the information. Facebook.com/ONEMICWITHBIGMIKE. Now, before we went to break, I was talking about the foolery and stupidity that one Jason Whitlock possesses and how it was exposed by a gentleman named Shaun King this past week on Colin Cowherd show. But now, as promised, we'll move on for a second here, and we'll talk some NBA and some other things with Gerald Brown. He is the host. Yes, give it up for Gerald Brown. All right. Stop. Host of the Bottom Line Sports Show every Saturday and Sunday on SiriusXM NBA Radio. Sports talk from a fan perspective, I think, is what the tagline is. Sirius Channel 207, the XM Channel 86. He's also you can also catch him on Blog Talk Radio on Tuesday, and follow him on Twitter and Instagram as well at Gerald BLSS. Gerald, what's happening, my man?
What's going on, Big Mike? How's everything going?
Man, I don't know it. Like, look, before we get into the sports stuff and all this craziness, all right, last week, I came back on my show on Monday. I thought I had the perfect antidote for what's going on to kind of keep the momentum going in this slam dunk contest All-Star weekend. My proposal was just get these kids, man. These YouTube kids is doing all this crazy dunking, these professional dunkers. And our friend, our mutual friend, Renee Cooper, she shared that idea with you, and you kind of poo-pooed all over it, man. You was like, you told the people that, we need stars in this thing?
Yes.
Stars like
Yes,
who? Like Zach LaVine and Aaron
yeah,
Gordon?
what I mean,
Stars like that?
You need guys that honestly that the NBA can make money off of. You need guys that can really draw in the NBA fans. As great of a dunk that a kid that's 5'7" that played at Holy Name University and dunking all during the summertime. Nobody's not really going to be able to connect with those kids and stuff. I thought that years ago that maybe they could have got some of the N1 guys and stuff when, the N1 mixtape tour was at its all-time high, but it's beyond that now. You need guys that play in the NBA to be a part of the NBA All-Star Weekend and the Slam Dunk.
Here's the thing, Gerald. I'm gonna invite you and welcome you into 2016, where the people who are stars are the people that other people tell people they're stars. Like, if you go around the country and have these like the American Idol thing, you have it like regionally, these dunk offs. By the time the NBA the All-Star game rolls around, guess what? All these dudes will be household names. They will have been Kardashianed, to put it that way. You tell people enough that this dude is a star, guess what? He'll be a star. And you put Sprite and Kia on it, and you give him a big one of those big huge Publishers Clearinghouse checks, and maybe give him a Kia Optima. Everybody wins. But
see, I just don't agree with that, Mike, because I gotta call you. I can't call you Big Mike. You know your mother while being there. Big Mike.
They did not.
No, they didn't. So I'm just calling you Mike. I'm not gonna call you Michael. But Mike, I can't see that because it's something that has been saturated down. And yet the fact is, we need to see these guys in a situation and game situation. The park and all that stuff. That's what we equate and associate with, like in the summertime. We seeing guys in college dunking, and we're seeing guys in the NBA go upstairs and dunk. That's where the true essence of what the dunk contest has been about. To be honest with you, I think that they should really just press pause on it and leave it alone for a couple of years. Because let's be honest, Zach LaVine has won it twice now.
Right.
Why does he need to come back out and perform?
Look,
he doesn't need to do that.
You've gotten the best out of that girl. Yeah, she's only going to get older and fatter from here.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's no need at all. I mean, it had an opportunity to capture the attention when some years back, I think we had Vince Carter on it. Years ago, we had Vince on. And Vince was still in that stage where he could get up and go upstairs and dunk. And he said if LeBron would get into the dunk contest, he would go in. And that would have been something that, really would have captured the imagination. I mean, Sprite would have had all the commercials, all these different things. It just lacks that sort of star power. And, it's Aaron Gordon at 6'9". It made a great comeback. But like I said before, Zach LaVine has nothing else to prove. He's a two-time slam dunk champion. He can ride off to the sunset, and now we'll have to wait and see somebody else can come up and be a good rival for Aaron Gordon.
Uh-oh. He's Gerald Brown, joining me right here on One Mic with Big Mike. He is the host of the Bottom Line Sports Show every Saturday and Sunday on SiriusXM NBA Radio. That's Sirius Channel 207 and XM Channel 86. Make sure you guys are following him on Twitter and Instagram the way I do, at Gerald BLSS. Before we get, once again, into the basketball stuff, I want to ask you about ESPN's top guy, John Skipper. He's talking about there not being enough blacks in sports media. To that, I say, thank you, Captain Obvious. And the other thing, I want to ask you about some of your personal experiences being a black man in sports media and some of the challenges that you've gone through. Like, have you ever gotten the, well, we don't quite do urban sports talk here. Have you gotten that one or any variation of it?
Yes, I've gotten some of that, and I think that it is true, and I think that we're seeing a lot of change moving forward. And there could be a lot of change on the horizon. But I just think that if you look at a lot of the shows that are out now, and it's just no disrespect to anybody at all, we have such a genre that is so saturated with people that sound so alike that it's just become now just, what's the difference between Colin? And I love Colin because I think he makes you think, what's the difference between, Mike and some of the other shows that are out there? It's kind of interesting that we haven't had yet a African-American simulcast show or a sports talk show on the sports airwaves yet. But, there's hope. There's hope, and I think that obviously if they're talking about it, then, somebody's going to do something about it. But I think that there are some great individuals that are in that position, i.e. Stephen A. Smith, really being a trailblazer and doing a great job. So hopefully the tide will turn. Did I sound like a politician?
No, just the whole Stephen A. Smith thing, man. I think, we're not going to do that. You're a guest on my show, and I'm not going to really jump into that whole rigmarole right now. Yesterday, Anthony Davis, dude, 59-2.
Yes. What
the hell is like this dude? He can't be the dude that just gets buried in New Orleans, and we kind of think of him the way we think of Boogie Cousins. Like everybody knows Boogie balls, but it's so much of an afterthought because he's balling in Sacramento and they go nowhere ever. What are we gonna do with Anthony Davis, man? They gonna get him some help or what?
Well, it's been listen, let's be honest. They have made tremendous strides to really turn around the way the season ended, and it goes to show that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. I think it's just going to have to come down to, it's a narrative that just continues to always, it never changes. It just moves from individual to individual. We're looking at Kevin Durant now, who's playing out the string right now in Oklahoma City. We're going to figure out what's going to happen with Russell Westbrook next year. And we're going to see this happen next year with Derrick Rose. It's just one of those things where a franchise like Anthony Davis, they hit the lottery, draft this guy, you give him that boatload of money, and it's going to be a situation that after X amount of years, can he stay, and more importantly, can he win in New Orleans? He's a Chicago native. I would not be surprised that, hey, the New Orleans Pelicans are on the hook right now, and they're pretty much on the clock. Maybe not this year, next year moving forward, but I don't think it's going to be any different than what we've seen with LeBron James, what we're seeing with Kevin Durant, what we saw with Carmelo Anthony, what we've seen with perhaps Russell Westbrook. It's just one of those things where these small market franchises, I think they have a small pocket of time to really change around the actual makeup of the team and hopefully change the fortunes of the franchise to compete for championships. Because if not, they're going to lose, guys.
How much credence do you put into the rumor that that Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant could reunite in L.A.? This is something I was talking about some years ago when both of them got extended. I was like, look how young these dudes are. They gonna both get paid again. And Russ being a guy that's from the West Coast. KD, I don't really, that whole him going home to the Wizards thing kind of missed me with that. But the prospect of them reuniting in a Kobe-less Lakers team, or on a Kobe-less Lakers team, how much credence do you put into that thought process?
I have a hard time buying into it because I look at it this way. Why go somewhere and start all over when you already have the foundation in Oklahoma City?
So you think he'll stay there?
Yeah, well, I mean, if they leave, it's either a situation where, quote unquote, they want to be the guy and only the guy on their situation on their team. And I think that if they were to leave, I don't think that would make a lot of sense. Like, for them to just pack up and leave to go to L.A., they're going to go for a stretch where it might take them 3 years to get the necessary pieces around them and be competitive. And why are you leaving Oklahoma City when you have the necessary pieces around you? You just need to figure out a way to play better defense.
Yeah.
But I've been saying somewhere, a lot of people have really been saying, hey, where there's smoke, there's fire in terms of with Kevin Durant going to Golden State. How interesting would it be? And can we rule out Kevin Durant going to maybe Cleveland? Now, Cleveland said that they're not happy with Kevin Love. You can go get the draft picks that you want, have Durant sign a 2-year deal in Cleveland, and now you have Durant, Kyrie, and LeBron, as opposed to, Love, Kyrie, and LeBron. You have a situation there. I would pay that more attention than perhaps Washington. I think Washington, it gets down to a point. These guys are looking at situations and saying, hey, where can I win?
Right.
Where can I win? Can you win in Washington? Yes, John Wall has been unbelievable, but Bradley Beal can't stay healthy. You know, he hasn't shown that he's able to be a durable guy in the NBA. And you look at Cleveland, you're going to have that money. Kevin Love is not working out. Boston will give up draft picks. You didn't want to take him now. You'll probably take him in the offseason. Why not interest Kevin Durant to come to Cleveland, where you have pretty much a cakewalk to get to the NBA Finals?
Yeah, that explosion, that salary cap explosion, it's gonna cause a little bit of a paradigm shift in what team does what. Like, if this dude ends up in Golden State, we talking game over for a couple of years. I mean, I
don't know about that though. I really don't know, because if they do that, I would have to question management and really understanding that, is that something really necessary? Like, I don't see Jerry West signing off on something like that, because you have won. You're winning right now. You don't need that. That's what we call greed and just being, it's just being greedy.
Well, it's America. Welcome to America.
Yeah.
How long you been here? I can tell you about some great spots in the city of Atlanta if you'd like to come visit. Yeah, greed is what it is. You know what I mean?
Right, but you know what? It's also role playing. And I think the question will be, can Durant go there?
And accept
How
the role.
does he fit in?
Yeah.
It's going to have to be that kind of situation where he's going to have to identify a role. And let's be honest, Andre Iguodala has taken a backseat role.
Mm-hmm.
These guys have fit in very well. And they're on a record pace. I would be very surprised.
Now, while we're talking about that record pace and the Golden State Warriors, by the way, we're talking to Gerald Brown of the Bottom Line Sports Show every Saturday and Sunday on SiriusXM NBA Radio. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram, Gerald BLSS. I heard you guys talking yesterday on your show about the Warriors going after this record, and one of the things that came up was if they were to fall short at some point in the playoffs after going after the record. I'll contend this, that for a team like this, that there really isn't anyone, like, okay, yeah, they got it pushed in against the Blazers a couple of days ago, but I look at that as kind of an aberration, right? I think them having that goal in front of them is something to keep them hungry against, like tonight. They're gonna be here against the Hawks. Against a team like that, they could do the same thing as they did with the Portland Trailblazers and kind of be like, oh, God, we're on the road. It's just the Hawks. But no, having that 72, 73 in front of them says, whatever, let's still kill these dudes and make an example out of them and anyone else on our way to that record. And then taking that momentum into the playoffs. But from what I understand is you're more on the other side of things, where you think at a certain point they should rest guys on their way to the playoffs.
I agree. I think that it's going to be a very difficult and tough, challenging decision for Steve Kerr, because if you are in reach of eclipsing the record, fine, you go for it. But now the question remains, you want your team to be fresh and clicking on all cylinders. The sort of mental and physical wear and tear that this record will take and has put on this team will be significant. And think about it this way. Look what we're asking or expecting the Golden State Warriors to do. Come off of winning the championship. Come back the following year to win 73 games. And then, oh, by the way, win the championship again. There has never been a team in NBA history that has never done anything like that. And I've argued several times, if they are able to accomplish these feats, you would have to put them as one of the greatest NBA teams of all time.
No doubt.
Yeah, I know that we've had the Chicago Bulls and the Lakers and Bulls do three-peats and whatever back-to-backs. Yeah, that's a common thing. But we've never seen a team come from winning a championship, go out and win 73 games, and then win another championship. When the Bulls set the record, keep in mind, they were ousted in the first round, I believe, or second round versus the Orlando Magic when Jordan had finally came back, and then boom, he comes back and he goes on the run. So if they do that, that's asking a lot for your team, because in the playoffs, it's win or go home. And to have them sort of clicking on all cylinders, at some point they're going to need a break. And I just think that maybe behind the scenes, Steve Kerr is actually hoping these guys can lose maybe another 3 or 4 games. Because once that's over and it's out of reach, they can perhaps maybe start to scale back guys' minutes and make sure everybody's healthy. But they're going to be in this situation now with Anderson Varejao coming on board, and he's the guy that can help, fill in some of those minutes that Festus Ezeli was taking off of Andrew Bogut.
Now, that Bull squad, they actually played the thing out. They didn't get their 72nd till the final game against the Washington Bullets. Yes, kids, the Bullets at the time, and they were ahead of the league by I think 8 games ahead of the next closest team, which would have been the Sonics. So, I'm a dude that I love to witness history and things that happen historically within my lifetime, that I don't have to read about things. So as a fan of the sport, I'm just selfish, man, and I'm like everybody else. I'm selfish. I want to see it happen. I want to ask you about the local team here, my local team, the Atlanta Hawks. You're someone who's on the radio each and every weekend, and you're taking calls nationally. What's the national sentiment as it relates to this version of the Atlanta Hawks?
I just think that, it's unfortunate because it's kind of a head-scratcher, kind of with them and maybe the Orlando Magic. I think that, last year nobody expected them to win 60-plus games. They had a great season. Mike Budenholzer was rewarded. He takes over the management spot. And now they go into a season that we understand that Al Horford is going to require a lot of money. Just trying to figure out what they were going to do at the deadline, and yet they bring in Kirk Heinrich, and we had heard all this sort of football perhaps that they were going to move, Jeff Teague, that Dennis Schroeder there. So and he's only there for 1 year, and it's like you couldn't move Al Horford. I don't know if, in some regards, I look at the Atlanta Hawks to a certain extent and say maybe they were happy that they got to the Eastern Conference Finals last year.
Wow.
The first time in NBA history, their franchise history, they got there. It's like, okay, the monkey's off our back, but, they're not a dominant team. I think that they're sort of still in transition. I think Bazemore is a nice addition to this team. Have been sort of a pleasant surprise.
Yeah.
But, Thiago Splitter is out with the hip. It's just going to be a question of, look, they're not worried about this season. I think they'll be happy that they make the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs, maybe win a first-round series if possible. And then it's sort of getting this extra cap money retooled. And, I think that maybe perhaps in the offseason they are going to move maybe Jeff Teague or Dennis Schroeder and turn over the reins to whichever guy they decide to keep, and try to lure in maybe a guy like a Dwight Howard to come back there and sort of man the middle. And be surprised, Mike. Look, you get a legitimate guy in there, and you got Splitter in there. You just never know. He'll sell tickets. The hair show will have competition.
No doubt. All right, so you talk about Al Horford gonna be looking to get some money this offseason. Another guy that's gonna be looking to get some money. Hassan Whiteside. I tweeted something yesterday about him, just kind of putting it out there, and I was like, does Hassan Whiteside, does he give off any of a little bit of a Andrew Bynum aroma? You know what I mean? That immensely talented big that really sometimes just can't control his damn self. And now someone's going to give him a whole lot of money to do what he's been doing before the money. But what's going to happen, Gerald? What's going to happen with Hassan Whiteside?
You said Andrew Bynum, and you know who came to mind for me anytime I see Hassan Whiteside play and knowing the money he's going to command? Jerome James. Remember Jerome James played for the Seattle Supersonics?
Yeah.
Had that amazing playoff series against the Sacramento Kings, and then all of a sudden Isaiah jumped out the window, and the Knicks, they gave him a ton of money, and it was just like, you know what, he got his money and pretty much ate himself out of the league, if you will. And it just, I don't know. I think it's a big, big gamble, but people are going to spend money. I mean, Aaron Bain got $21 million, and Aaron Bain got $21 million from the Detroit Pistons, and Baines was the third center on the San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah.
He would get garbage minutes and got $21 million. So I just think that it's going to be a big, big roll of the dice. And depending where he goes, and also, too, I think he's going to have a decent playoff series. Like, I don't think it's sort of written in stone that he's going to command an enormous amount of money. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, he's going to get $15, $16 million. Yes, that is an enormous amount of money. But he's going to have to play. If they play in that playoffs, I think all he could do is help his situation. But it might be another Jerome James situation.
Jerome James. Yeah, I guess the old Frederick Douglass afro that my man had don't really fit on Whiteside, huh? He's Gerald Brown from the Bottom Line Sports Show. We got a couple more minutes with him. Make sure you guys are following him at Gerald BLSS on Twitter and Instagram. The other thing y'all were talking about yesterday, you were talking about the LA Clippers. You know, first thing I want to ask you, bruh, about that situation with Blake, and people keep framing it like the trainer, but in essence, that's his boy. Now, one of the things and one of the reasons that I do my show is because there's a certain perspective that always gets left out. And I'm going to ask you, can you understand what happened between those two dudes?
Yeah, they was drunk. It was liquored up, and you know what? It might have got to a situation where they were talking and whatever, and it became a situation where, you know, Blake Griffin wanted to swing on him. I mean, clearly, you know, neither individual, or I wouldn't say neither, but I said clearly Blake wasn't, you know, thinking properly, and I mean, probably alcohol played a role in it, and it just didn't make any sense at all. So you're right. I think it was just boys, and
sometimes you just got to go in your man's mouth, you know. Sometimes, as your brother, you just got to go upside his head. And I think the bigger problem wasn't the fact that he went upside that boy's mouth, is the fact that he busted his hand. Like, that's what the team really cares about. Like, they could have done the little 4-game suspension and kept it a wrap. But the fact that my man decided he wanted to bust his hand up, and these folks are trying to compete for an NBA championship, that to me probably is the bigger deal out of the two things. Also,
yeah, but I mean, again, we've seen these things happen before, and I think we've never seen in a situation where an equipment manager and a guy get into a fight. But I mean, at the end of the day, I heard some of the craziest things that people were saying about maybe they're going to trade him, and because of this, they have soured on him. I don't think that's the case at all. Chris Paul is getting old. He's going to, you know, require another contract. You got a situation where, you know, Blake Griffin is a guy that, quote-unquote, could be your franchise guy. And, you know, he's not too far removed from being, you know, finishing, I think, third in the MVP voting race a couple of years ago. Right. So, you know, I wasn't subscribing to this sort of theory of get rid of him, as you would think that you could get equal value back. That's not the case at all.
Do people just like Doc Rivers? Is that why he continues to get the benefit of the doubt? Because I remember Doc Rivers in Orlando. I remember him before he got 3 Hall of Famers in Boston, and now I see like he's not. They fired Vinny Del Negro, but when you look at what's transpired, not that gigantic improvement that everybody was looking for out of the great Doc Rivers. Am I wrong in that assessment?
I think so. I mean, you know, and you know, one of the things that we talked about, and we do it every Saturday at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. is that the fact is that, you know, first of all, this Jeff Green move, I think, was unbelievable. And I've been very critical or head-scratching of Doc Rivers, the GM, in terms of what he's been able to sort of give Doc Rivers, the head coach. But keep in mind, the acquiring of Jeff Green, this is a team that's trying to avoid luxury tax. So when they go out and sign a Paul Pierce, he takes a short deal. You go out and get a Lance Stevenson, short deal. Josh Smith took short money. It wasn't like there was an abundance of players, talented players that were out there that the Clippers could go ahead and get. And when you're in a situation where you're trying to add pieces, especially and stay within the salary cap, it can be a very trying situation. But I give him credit because if Jeff Green comes in and plays like Jeff Green that we've seen him develop in Memphis, where he doesn't have to be the first, second, or even the third option, I think it's a win-win situation. I think clearly on paper he's a tremendous upgrade from Jared Dudley, Matt Barnes, Wesley Johnson, Luke Richard, and Bahamute. All of these guys that have tried to be that sort of that third option, if you will, to coincide with Chris Paul and Blake in some regards, maybe DeAndre Jordan. They just haven't been able to find it. And it's difficult when you're in a situation where you're facing that cap. Look at Memphis Grizzlies. How long have they been trying to figure out and bring in another perimeter type of scorer since they've traded Rudy Gay? It hasn't worked out. Yeah.
My man, I appreciate you joining me tonight, Gerald. We're going to have to do it again pretty soon, my man. Appreciate you.
Anytime, Mike. And look, man, we look forward to having you on our show as well, man.
No doubt. Let's do it.
Hey, you got my information, man. Let's make it happen.
All right. Take care, my brother.
All right. Have a good one.
He's Gerald Green. He's Gerald Green. He's not Gerald Green. He's a different color. He's Gerald Brown of the Bottom Line Sports Show. Every Saturday and Sunday, you can catch him on SiriusXM NBA Radio. It's sports talk from a fan's perspective. Sirius Channel 207 on XM, Channel 86. He's also on Blog Talk Radio on every Tuesday. You can find him online or in the social media sphere at Gerald BLSS. And when we get back, I'm going to finish up this Jason Whitlock thing, and I want to get into something I asked Gerald about. This how John Skipper, the big man at ESPN, was talking about there not being enough blacks in sports media. And we'll do that next as well as on this day right here on One Mic with Big Mike.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzzed driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You could kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You must have thrown 1,000 pitches teaching him to hit a home run. Spent countless Saturdays running routes so he could learn to hit an open receiver. Endless afternoons teaching him how to hit the three-pointer. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit? Teaching boys that all violence against women is wrong is one of the most important things a man can do. Learn how to start the conversation at teachearly.org. Brought to you by Futures Without Violence and the Ad Council.
One mic.
All I need is one mic.
What's the name of the show?
One Mic with Big Mike.
You know, ain't nobody getting hurt, ain't nobody, there's no crime being committed.
And they say his style is too urban for the radio.
This is real life stuff that's happened to me.
Well, you know what?
You, and you.
One Mic with Big Mike.
I like to be able to do what I want to do.
A sports talk show, but no subject matter is off limits.
Meek Mill's concert is not called the Hell Yeah I Bang Khloe Kardashian concert.
And now, your host.
Put your hands together for the one, the only
Big Mike.
All I need is one mic.
Hour number 2 on this Monday, right here on One Mic with Big Mike. A gloomy, rainy Monday here in the ATL, but it's all good because I got you and you got me. Shout out to Renee Cooper, man. First of all, thank you for allowing me to have Gerald on the show. And also, Renee says I'm better than that. Actually, Renee, I'm actually not better than that because I said Jason Whitlock argued like a woman. And she referred to it as a dig. Well, not necessarily a dig. I just happen to live with a woman, and when these type of things happen here in my household, it happens along that same line, same way. You know what I mean? So it's not a dig if it's fact, Renee. And maybe all women don't argue like that, but I'm gonna place my money on the majority in this situation. And I will actually as well. I will decline the fact that I am better than that. I am not. I'm probably even worse than that, to be honest with you. So yeah, just had Gerald Brown of the Bottom Line Sports Show. Make sure you catch that every Saturday and Sunday on SiriusXM NBA Radio. It's sports talk from a fan's perspective. He's at Gerald BLSS on Twitter and Instagram. Before we move on and I wrap this conversation up about Jason Whitlock. Because I do have some things to say about him, and Gerald brought some things back to mind that I wanted to say about this guy. So we'll do that right after we do On This Day.
Now, let's take a look back. On this day.
Oh, yeah. Short on this day today, boy. We're going to get in and we're going to get out. On this day in 1860, the very first organized baseball game was played in San Francisco, California. On this day in 1962, Wilt Chamberlain of the Philadelphia Warriors, he attempted 34 free throws in a game against the St. Louis Hawks. Hey, look at that. That's like some sort of synergy or something, ain't it? Or is that like irony? What is that called? It's called something. Because the Golden State Warriors, they play the Atlanta Hawks tonight, and they're about to play right now. And, yeah, I'm hoping not to get too damn distracted as I finish up my show here. On this day in 1969, 69 was a very good year. That's what Joe said. Barbara Jo Rubin became the first woman to win the U.S. thoroughbred horse race. I know a couple of brides here in the ATL that can win that thoroughbred race, if you know what I'm saying. On this day in 1980, the U.S. beat the USSR 4-3 in Olympic hockey en route to the gold medal. You know that. You know, they're playing all day on damn TV. You know, do you believe in miracles? Al Michaels was on the call. And finally, on this day in 1995, damn, the year of my high school graduation, the NFL, oh, look at that. The NFL and my former employer, CBS Radio, agree to a new 4-year contract for an annual 53-game package of games. And ladies and gentlemen, that is your Monday edition of On This Day. I hate when I do that. I hate when I'm doing two things at the same time and I do that whole slow down talk on this day. I hate when people do that, and I hate myself even more for doing it. I'll punish myself later. Stay out my business. Stay out my business. All right, now getting back to this Jason Whitlock thing, and one of the comments I read to you guys earlier was Shaun King basically telling this guy that he'll always have a job because he's white. He's the black man that white men pay to say the things that they're thinking, and Jason Whitlock has been very critical of things like rap music, blaming rap music for bad things happening in the black community, like those real like stupid things that people try to like correlate. And again, this past week, the whole I didn't even know what was going on with the Beyonce thing because that's not really my realm. You know what I mean? Like I catch it in the wind, like if I'm riding down the street and I'm listening to the radio, and they mention it. I kind of put two and two together and understand that's what everybody's talking about. But I think more people should take my approach to things. Like, ignore stupidity. Like, if people want to get on TV and talk about how, like, Beyonce's responsible for a drive-by shooting, why do we have to give that any attention? It's just people being ridiculous because they know in 2016 what will happen. Somebody will tweet it and somebody will retweet it and Facebook post it and whatever and Tumblr it and whatever the hell else, and then it'll become quote-unquote news. Yeah, I'm doing the air quotes, news. No, that's just ridiculousness. It's just stupid. But just to share something like about as it relates to the story about what is his name? His name is Skipper. John Skipper, the head of ESPN. Actually, let me refer to this article quickly and tell you guys exactly what he said, and I'll share a little bit about my experience in this business. I've been doing radio since 2001. That's where I started. Well, I actually started before that in college, but I don't really count that. That was some bootleg stuff. But officially, in a market, in the Atlanta market, starting radio in 2001. John Skipper says he was actually one of the guests at the Code Media Conference in California. This was this past Wednesday, and he kind of scolded. He kind of scolded the industry. He says, "quote There is not enough black media in this country." He's talking about media as a whole. There's not enough black-owned media in this country. There are not enough sites run by people of color. End quote. And he's right. He also makes sure he points out that 85 women or African Americans hired by national outlets of the 85, ESPN has employed 74 of them. He made sure he tooted that beep, beep, horn. He goes on to say, quote, African Americans are very important to our constituency. They watch a lot of sports. Thank you for noticing. And I believe that we have to be their home, and they have to believe that we represent their interests, end quote. Now, this is what I have to say about that. He's right. But what also happens, there is to me, a universal fear that is in a lot of black media members, especially in the realm of sport. Let me speak specifically as it relates to the realm of sports talk and in sports media in general. Anything that involves an opinion or a take on certain things, right? If you're not asking Chris Carter about, what the Panthers defense is going to do against Peyton Manning in that offense, but if you're asking them about something real, domestic abuse, like everyone has the same company line. Everyone has to say the same thing. They have to be as outraged. Like, here's the thing. We know domestic abuse is bad and it's wrong, right? But people act like caveats don't exist. Like, I'll point back to last summer, right? That kid from Florida State that was in the bar, and they had the video of it, and everyone watched this girl push him, kick him in the balls, and swing at him. And then he clocked her. And you'd want me to say that I should put that into the same category as Greg Hardy throwing a broad on a gun full of beds and choking her, telling her he's going to kill her. No, I can't do that. And if you work at ESPN, you can't do it either. And I'll tell you how I know. Because when, I think it was around the Ray Rice situation, and here's where things get murky for me, where I'm put in a position where I'm defending guys like Stephen A. Smith. But I'm not necessarily defending him. I'm defending him being able to have an honest and a forthright opinion on something. And with that has a personal attachment to it. And what I'm referring to is, after the Ray Rice thing happened, Stephen A. Smith made a comment about his mom and his aunt, that he was raised by his mom and his aunt and his sister. And he said something to the fact that know who you're dealing with. As a woman, know who you're dealing with. And, like, don't put yourself in a position where things like that could come back, what could happen, right? Now, at no point did he say Ray Rice, he should have knocked his woman out. No, everyone knows no, right? But, and maybe it's because he didn't add any clarity to it, but I don't think he could have. Because the stance is, the universal stance is, there's no reason to hit a woman. All right, come on, back down. You know what I mean? Like, calm down. Because what happens is, when you make a statement like that, you don't give somebody free range on another human being because they have a uterus. You know what I mean? The way I took what he was saying is in the way, like, don't get into this whole thing where you start wanting to put your hands on people. You get mad at your dude. Like, so many women got that in them. They want to put their hands on people and act like it's cool, and it's not. Like, my philosophy in my household, everybody just keep their damn hands to themselves. The same one we had when we was in kindergarten and preschool. Keep your damn hands to yourself. And especially if you're an adult, learn how to use your damn words. So I say all that to say that there's a certain type of black person that seems to be acceptable. You know what I mean? You can be, like, now Stephen A. Smith is the guy who sees the Klan everywhere. Like, everything is racist. Mark Richt getting a job at UGA or at Miami after being fired from UGA. Well, that's racist. All right. All right. Like, stop being that guy. Or you just be the guy that complies. You be the Jason Whitlocks that, you be the Klan is everywhere on one side, but then be the let me stick up for Peyton Manning, putting his balls on some girl's face. Come on, man. How is that a thing? Like, and on a personal note, before we start thinking like the white man ain't giving me no chance. Yeah, here's the thing. The last guy I worked for in radio, he was a let's call him an ESPN disciple, right? So he had all those ESPN values, if you want to call them that, about him, right? And this is a man who tried to tell me that I didn't know who I was. Like, I'm making the same exact point to him about some of the other guys I worked with, some other guys that were black guys. And I was like, look, yeah, this guy is this guy, and this guy is this guy, right? They're who they are, but they're not me. We have totally different perspectives on life. I'm from a totally different spectrum of if you want to call it blackness, than they are. They don't speak to the people that I speak to, and I can't pretend to be them. I'm not like them. And this dude told me, yeah, I think you can be. What the hell does that mean? That it was in the midst of one of those, urban sports talk conversations. Like, I don't even know what the hell that even is. Like, that's code word. And mind you, I'm talking to a black man in this situation. Like, I've heard those things from white men too. And, at no time am I shocked. Your style just may be a little bit too urban. All right. What you mean is that I'm black. And then when stuff happens like what happened yesterday in a NASCAR race, I'm not enthused about it. Let's call it what it is. And, for somebody like John Skipper to point out that there are not enough blacks in media, one of the last shows I did on radio here in Atlanta, it was actually the first show of what now has become One Mic with Big Mike. I didn't have a name for it at the time, but it was my first show doing it solo. A guy named Mad Dog, I guess he heads up Mad Dog Radio on satellite radio. He went on this diatribe about how, can black people do this job? Can black people hold a conversation, hold people's attention even without taking phone calls and no commercials? And I was like, damn, that's what's real in the field? Like, that's what's happening? And, for what it's worth, I went on the air and I talked about it and I gave my opinions. Because I'm not like, screw Whitey. I'm not that guy. You know what I mean? But I did make sure my position was known, and I tried to articulate it as best as possible. But the Monday I walked in, this is on Sunday morning, Saturday night, overnight. And I came in the next day, and the other manager, another black guy, you can always tell people's reaction that they don't feel like you should have done that by the things that they say to you. And I could tell, that's where he was going with it. Needless to say, I got fired like 3 weeks later for, that's not important. The point I'm trying to make is that until we kind of get the people in charge to stop trying to create these boxes to put people in. Everybody don't talk to everybody. I learned that a long time ago doing this. That the fact of the matter is that, yeah, Colin Cowherd is doing a show, and you think it's national, you think it's for everybody. No. Listen to the stuff he talks about. He talks about the things that he relates in. Now, you're allowed to listen. You can call in, but he's not talking to you. It's just basically he's having a conversation with other people like him, and you're allowed to listen in and chime in with a comment every now and then, via the phone or whatever. That's what's happening. Yet, if you're me, I'm expected to speak to everyone. And I've said this before. I don't do it, and I don't think anyone else who does this job or is involved in this form of media can do that effectively. Just be true. Like every time I do this show, I do it as me. I say stupid stuff. I'm wrong about stuff, but it's me. It's all me. I'm not pandering to anybody because now, like I told you guys a few weeks ago, right? Like now, football season over with, Super Bowl's done. Yeah, the heavy lifting's about to start, and I can't even watch sports shows right now. Because nothing's happening, so everybody wants to do the same stupid, like, dumbed down, let me show you guys who my list of favorite Lakers is, or who I think the best running back in the league. That's so stupid and so dumb. All you're doing is spending time on absolutely nothing. When in reality, why don't you just, like, if work boiled down to waiting for someone to spoon feed me information, and me putting together some stuff based on that information on a teleprompter. I'd just rather not. Yeah, it's about to get stupid at Phillips Arena, cuz. It's about to get stupid out there. And you see it so much, man. You know, like they celebrated Linda Cohn, ESPN celebrated Linda Cohn's 5,000th Sports Center this past Sunday. But she's a dinosaur, man. She's like she's an antiquated personality. Like I wouldn't be surprised if in 2 weeks you find out Linda Cohn wasn't at ESPN no more. Because now you got to be blonde and skinny, and you know you got to be that. Seem like to do the job. Pam Oliver talked about it last year. You know, people worrying about being on TV and getting their Twitter followers up, as opposed to doing the gig. Now, of course, she was talking about. I feel like she was talking about Erin Andrews, the chick that took her job as the A-team sideline reporter on Fox. But you know, that being said, I just think this business has been around since I think 1968, maybe 1970, and in all that time, it's still a white man's industry. You know, I mean, every now and then, you know, a couple of chicks are trickled in. You know, they do. You know, they give their opinions sometimes. They do news and weather or whatever. Like that chick on Colin Cowherd, dude, she's a bobblehead. She's a blonde bobblehead. Like, for the most part, she'll sit there and just, like, smile and nod at the crap he's saying, and then that's it. Like, they asked her about the Beyonce thing the other day. She's like, I don't think I should speak on it. Bro, you want a talk show. The first word being talk. I don't know. I don't think I have enough information. It's been 4 days. How don't you have enough information on it? I was like, you know what? I'm out. Like, and you know, I had somebody ask me today, you know, if I was gonna find my way back to radio. And my position hasn't changed, man. I just don't feel like there's a place for me. Because inevitably, I'm going to say something. And I'm going to want to talk about something. I want to talk about Flint, Michigan. I'm going to want to talk about Michael Brown. I'm going to want to talk about Tamir Rice. I'm going to want to talk about stuff. I want to talk about, like, I started the show talking about abortion. I want to talk about that stuff because it's real. No one sits around. If you do, you're a weirdo. No one sits around and just talks about sports all the time. That's stupid. That's not even organic. Now, that being said, yeah, I don't see myself right now being in a situation where I'd be allowed to, because like I don't think I'm vulgar. You know, I don't curse a bunch when I'm doing my show, and I do it purposely, man. And I don't want what I'm saying to be convoluted by people saying, or be a distraction, or people to be distracted from actually the message of what I'm saying with the actual words that are coming out of my mouth. Because I'm saying MFer and, you know, all these curse words every time I open my mouth just because it's the internet. No, that's ridiculous and stupid. There's no sense in me doing that. You know, I'm not even trying to like let one slip out. Am I done talking about this Jason Whitlock thing? Yeah, I think I am. You know, if it's not on my Facebook page, I'll post it, and you guys can check it out for yourself. It's clownery at its best, you know, to say the least. It is a bunch of clownery. It's One Mic with Big Mike. Spreaker.com is where I'm being heard, and the Spreaker app. Make sure you guys check that out, and search for my show. Download it. Search for my show, the number 1 MIC WITHBIG MIKE. And once you do that, follow me, and then check me out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, starting at 7:00. You guys can also jump inside my interactive chat room and holler at me. Shout out to Renee Cooper. She's in the chat room. Not sure. I don't have a guest lined up for Wednesday yet, so that might break my streak. But don't worry. I'll be here. I know you guys are sad. Sad that you guys just listen to me. But, yeah, it is what it is. Also, make sure you guys are following me on social media via Twitter and Instagram at One Mic with Big Mike. It's like one microphone with Big Mike, my name, and the number 1 is just a numeral. My Facebook.com, same thing, One Mic with Big Mike, except the 1 is spelled out ONE. Now, the Combine, guys, report to the Combine tomorrow. And there's going to be some changes that have been proposed to the Combine. And, like, I don't have no problem with that. I'm a guy who, I like the Combine, so I don't have a problem with it being changed or anything of that nature. The one thing I will say, though, the one thing that I will say is those people who think that it's an exercise in futility, maybe you should look a little bit deeper than what the surface is. Check out some of the dudes who've made money off the combine and allowed themselves to have extensive careers based on what they've done at the combine. Now, of course, guys have been missed on because they showed up at the combine and did their thing and then got overdrafted. Yeah, that happens. That's going to happen anyway. And then you're going to have, and the other thing I think the combine does a lot of times, more so than any other time, more so than any other thing, is it weeds out. It weeds out the guys who aren't willing to work for the thing that they want. It's like, you got a test, and the test has been given to you already, and you've got weeks to prepare for that test. That's what the combine has become. Everyone knows all the drills. They know what's going to happen. Their agents have been there before, so they know how the interview process is going to work. All the things that people are going to have to go through. And if you show up at the combine still out of shape, if I'm drafting for a team, I pretty much know everything I need to know. You know what I mean? Like, you looking for your mama to wake you up in the morning. So I shouldn't be surprised when you're late for practice because you overslept. Nah, I'm good. I put a little poll on my Twitter account at the number 1 MICWITHBIGMIKE. And it relates to this USA Today article that some changes are going to be made. So I gave 3 options of what should be changed. And this is so telling. It was only up for a couple of hours. 56% said the Wonderlic test need to be changed. And we've heard, excuse me, on many accounts. And some people have intimated that the Wonderlic test is somewhat culturally biased, like a lot of standardized tests in America. Hold on, I gotta take a drink, man. Something crawled in my throat. Okay, that's much better. See, this is the problem when you're doing a show by yourself and you don't have someone else that you can be like, talk, I gotta drink some water. No, you just gotta bear with me. But 56% said the Wonderlic test. The other 44% said the bench press. And because, boy, so many of the bros follow me, boy. 0% said 40-yard dash. Like, we like to see dudes run, and get up. Like, if they're going to change anything, like, I know a lot of people have suggested that they eliminate the 40-yard dash. I like to kind of put a little asterisk on that. Yeah, maybe for the big dudes. Maybe just have them do like a 20-yard explosion so you can kind of gauge them coming off the football. You know what I mean? But like, my center don't have to run 40 yards. It happens from time to time, and it makes Sports Center when it happens. But for the most part, nah, you're more so playing in the box as an offensive lineman. So I don't need to get your long speed. Just give me 10, 20 yards. I say 20. I say 10, excuse me. Give me a 10-yard burst and give me the time on that for my offensive lineman. But, like, yeah, we all like to see the DBs and the receivers and the running backs get it, man, because, everybody swears. Like, you like me, you're like 38 years old. I'll be 39 next month. What the hell, man? The clock is ticking, man, on that damn prostate situation. The clock is ticking. I can hear it loud and clear. Anyway, like, everybody swear they ran a 4.4 in high school. I don't. I was slow. You know what I mean? My best time ever was 4.8. You know what I mean? And I don't care. That 4.8 paid for my college education, so screw all y'all lying asses talking about y'all ran. Everybody didn't run no damn 4.4 in 1995 or 98, 96, and all that. No. But it's cool to see dudes, like, float like that. So, of course, all the guys and girls that follow me, like, nah, keep the 40. Keep that joint. The thing about the Wonderlic test is they're kind of weaning off of that a little bit as far as the test itself. They're going more towards, because I don't know the word off the top of my head, I got to look it up. Not look it up. they're going towards more neurological testing. I do know that word. I just couldn't think of it. And the player assessment tool, a psychological test developed in part through consultation with general managers and as a supplement to the Wonderlic test. So basically, instead of seeing if you can answer these crazy Wonderlic questions, I usually get them too. I have the Wonderlic questions by Monday or by Wednesday. At one time, we took them on the air. That was a train wreck. Anyway, I'll have the questions to give you guys some examples of what the questions sound like on Wednesday when I do the show. But instead of that, they're going to go more neurological and more psychological to make sure to see if guys' heads are on straight, man, and kind of get more of an in-depth look at how the things that you dealt with maybe growing up are affecting life today for you. Randy Gregory just caught a brick, man. Got suspended 4 games for the same thing he got popped for at the combine. Yes, the sticky of the ickiest, the weed. It's One Mic with Big Mike. I'm gonna come back, finish up the show. I gotta talk about the Atlanta Hawks and what's going on. It's going down at Phillips Arena right now. The Atlanta Hawks taking on the Golden State Warriors, and things don't look real pretty. I'm just gonna say it like that. So I'll come back, do that, and we'll do it together.
You must have thrown 1,000 pitches teaching him to hit a home run. Spent countless Saturdays running routes so he could learn to hit an open receiver. Endless afternoons teaching him how to hit the three-pointer. But how much time have you spent teaching him what not to hit? Teaching boys that all violence against women is wrong is one of the most important things a man can do. Learn how to start the conversation at teachearly.org. Brought to you by Futures Without Violence and the Ad Council.
Hey, Nick Cannon here. So, of course, we all know there's lots of talent in America. But unfortunately, there's something else we've got way too much of. Childhood hunger. 17 million kids struggle with it in this country. But here's the thing. This problem is entirely solvable. Seriously, we already produce more than enough healthy, nutritious food in this country to feed every single last one of those hungry kids. We just need a way to get it to them. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks is out there every day gathering surplus food to give hope to hungry kids and their families all across the country. But they need your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together we're Feeding America.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Open your ears, sucker! DJ Styles got something you need to listen to.
I didn't know that was going to happen. Oh. Oh, welcome back to One Mic with Big Mike. Monday, boy. I got a case of the Mondays. Don't you hate when people say that, like at your job? Somebody's got a case of the Mondays. Yeah, somebody will have a case of a foot in their ass in a minute if you don't get out my face with that dumb junk. Oh, man. I appreciate you guys for joining me. We got about another, 27 minutes? Public school math, right? Left in the show. Make sure you guys tell a friend about the show. Heard Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on Spreaker.com and the Spreaker app. It's like speaker, but with an R in between the P and the E. Sign up for your free account. Once you do that, find my show by searching for the number 1 MIC, WITHBIGMIKE. And once you do that, go ahead and follow me. You can check out any episode that I've ever done on this show back to November, as well as live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 o'clock. Also, make sure you guys are following me on Twitter and Instagram at the number 1 MIC, WITHBIGMIKE. And on Facebook.com/ONE MIC, WITHBIGMIKE. You know what I'm going to do this weekend coming up? I'm already thinking about next weekend already, right? But no, I just realized, I saw a commercial earlier today. The Oscars are coming on this weekend, on Sunday, right? I don't know what time yet. I got to figure out what time because I'll say that I'm going to do this and then be like, I forgot because something else was going on, basketball or something. Oh, by the way, hashtag Oscars so white. We're gonna are you N-words really not gonna watch the Oscars because ain't no black people winning no awards? If you was gonna watch them anyway, I wasn't gonna watch them anyway. But you know what I'm gonna watch for? I'm gonna watch the first. I don't know, what's a monologue in in a award show setting, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I'm gonna watch the first 10 minutes of it because I just want to see what Chris Rock is gonna do. I want to see, how he gets into the subject of there not being any, especially if everyone boycotts, like there being no Negroes in the crowd, or if you just happen to be that one. And you know what? I hope the one is, I hope the one black dude that goes to the Oscars is Paul Mooney. Like, I hope he's the only dude there. Like, I don't know what the problem is. What y'all looking at? That'd be, and then Chris Rock bring him on stage too. But no, I want to see how he approaches it, man. Because someone said to me on Facebook the other day that he's in a lose-lose situation. That if he doesn't clown the Academy and doesn't address the situation, he's a sellout. And if he does, he'll get blackballed from Hollywood. Like, what does that even mean for Chris Rock? Like, he won't be in Grown Ups Part 3? Like, what the hell you mean you're going to get blackballed from Hollywood? It's Chris Rock. No one's, like, camping out overnight like, man, that new Chris Rock movie about to come out. We got to get tickets today. Nah, not really. And then Chris Rock is a jerk, man. And I don't mean that in the bad sense of being a jerk. I mean, he's like a dude that he says inappropriate stuff with white people in attendance. And only thing different in this case, the white people just happen to be the ones paying you, and the audience will be full of them, and probably no backup for the brothers. So, yeah, it may be a little different, but I'm a person who I love uncomfortable situations. I don't like being in them, but I like to see other people in uncomfortable situations. It amuses me. So I want to see how uncomfortable the Oscars are this weekend or this Sunday or whatever it is. And that'll probably make my week if it turns out the way I've imagined it to, which it probably won't, and I'll be disappointed. And God, everything that's bad in my life will come rushing back to me, and I'll have to just eat it. What else do I have on here? The Atlanta Hawks. Okay, so here's the deal. Now, I asked Gerald about the Atlanta Hawks and what the national perception of this team is, and God, I don't know if I have any more clarity than I had before I asked the question, and it's not because of him. It's just because of this damn team. You know what I mean? What I said to you guys last week, the way the Eastern Conference is situated, yeah, one bad week. You could be like, they were 4th last week. These dudes are 6th right now. They went on a 3-game losing streak at home, by the way. And it's about to be 4 tonight after this Golden State thing happened to them. It's going to go digital. Yeah, you can go in a bad week, go from the top half of the seedings to out of the damn playoffs altogether. So there's that. Oh man, and like you know what's funny too? I told you guys about the TV numbers last week, how low they are for the Atlanta Hawks. And even a couple of weeks ago, I talked about how the attendance numbers were low this year. And even I thought that this game, the champs coming in town, Golden State Warriors, Splash Brothers, the whole Steph Curry pregame situation, I thought the stadium was going to be packed, or the arena was going to be packed. Every time they do that shot where they pull out, well, yeah. I don't know any other way to phrase it. I was trying to look for a better way to phrase it. That they kind of go wide. You can see all those empty black seats in the first 10 rows. Golly, it's going y'all, man. My people here in Atlanta. I don't know, man. I don't know what to say, man. I don't know what to say. If it used to be when the Stars came in, at least then the stadium would be packed with the players. The guys from the other team, but I'm looking at Facebook or what was it, Instagram today. They was talking about, yeah, we still got tickets available for the game. This was this morning at 10 o'clock. Look, cool, cool. That's all I got to say about that. Continuing my theme of foolery. Right before I started the show, I went and took another look to make sure. Because there's not a lot today. There's not a lot of stuff going on. It won't be for a minute. We'll find out somebody did something crazy or said something crazy or somebody ran hella fast or jumped hella high at the combine. And, that'd be pretty much what it is. Fat dudes reporting to baseball, to spring training. Big deal. Happens every year. And, we're like 6 weeks away from the beginning of baseball season. I don't really care, but, it's going to happen. So it's like this dead period right now. So you have to look and find the things that are going to either entertain you or entertain the people you're talking to, which would be you guys. And this happened. This is per TMZ.com. The headline reads this. Louis Farrakhan, NBA is modern day slavery. They buy us, trap us. See, the comedy starts early with this one. Yes, your boy. Yeah, everyone, the honorable. See, before I get into this, I'm gonna say something that I say a lot to people, and people think I'm just this pessimist and I'm this, this sullied individual. And no, I'm a realist, man. And I understand that in this country, if you want to find answers to something, follow the money. Follow that. And I say that to say this. Part of the reason that all these people who call themselves fighting to end slavery, that's already over, Mike. All these people fighting to end racism, they're full of crap, man. They're full of crap. Even going back to the Shaun King situation, one of the allegations that Jason Whitlock brought against Shaun King was the fact that that dude that you see representing Black Lives Matter everywhere, that from now I understand he's not even a president of the company, he's not a board member or anything, he's just has become the face of the organization. Every time you see someone doing an interview representing Black Lives Matter, it's this guy, D-Ray or something his name is, who, by the way, quit his teaching job to just be an activist. Yeah, that sounds like a money grab to me, cuz. And the other thing that kind of confirms that to me is that the fact that he got on Twitter and was like blasting this dude Shaun King about the impropriety of some funds or whatever. Now that's being used against this dude, that he's collecting money for people and keeping it or whatever because people are trying to read into it. He explained it to Jason Whitlock. He's like, no, it's two separate things. The money that I collected with people, and he challenged Jason Whitlock on a lot of things. He was like, yeah, go ask Tamir Rice's mama if she got every red cent of the money that was raised for her. Go ask Michael Brown's mama if she got every red cent of the money that was raised to her. And I was like, see, when people start doing that kind of stuff, I'm inclined to believe them because it's not hard. This dude's on a national radio show. He works for Fox. He can get Tamir Rice's mom's number. What the hell is happening with my throat today? What the hell is happening? So anyway, I'm sorry. I gotta take another. I gotta take another sip of my water here. All right. Now, where was I? Oh, Minister Farrakhan, and me talking about these people who are fighting or call themselves fighting to end racism. I find it hard to believe. Like, I know what a conflict of interest is when I see one. And if you make your money, and lots of it, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, Farrakhan, you make your money off the fact that racism exists. Am I to really believe that you really want it to go away? Yeah, I think not. I think you say things that sound good, but I don't believe it in one bit. Because what you do, you start rebel rousing about foolery like this. He says, and he calls out specifically too, LeBron James is nothing but a modern day slave, owned by the white man in a system designed to chew him up and spit him out. It may just be the wrong guy, to point that finger at. You're a slave. Because the fact of the matter is, LeBron James, when it's all said and done, is probably going to be a billionaire. Right? I go back to a lyric by the great Sean Carter. He says, I got rich and gave back. To me, that's the win-win. You know what I mean? Now, LeBron James, he's known. He promised a bunch of kids, too, in the Cleveland area that he was going to send them to college. They graduated high school. They going to college on his dime. So if that's what this, I guess, current NBA form of slavery is allowing people to do, I'm all for slavery then. You know what I mean? You just kind of picked the wrong guy. Like LeBron, the guy who owns the team, LeBron essentially has him stepping and fetching. I don't know. I've read my share of, slave writings and things that alluded to slavery and had been contributed by slaves. And don't remember reading too many that the slave actually was the one calling the shots on the plantation. And that's pretty much what LeBron is doing. Don't get it twisted, everybody. And here's you want to hear some more comedy by the old Minister Farrakhan? He warned community leaders not to put up basketball courts in the community. Wait, what? You might be saying to yourself the same thing I said. Why? Why the hell wouldn't you do that? Where the hell are they going to play basketball at then? Don't worry about that. He says, quote, please don't put up another basketball court thinking that you're giving back to the community. Basketball court's a training ground for the basketball plantation. End quote. God. Like, this man, like, I can only imagine. I can only imagine being white and, like, going to TMZ and seeing this and saying, really? This is what we own? Now the NBA, full of $100 million guaranteed contracts, is slavery. Now, I will say this because I've done this before with people. Adrian Peterson did the same thing during the NFL lockout one time. He said they treat us like slaves. Couple things. There were instances where slaves were paid. American slaves were paid. That's one thing. Second thing is, if you look at like ancient Rome, and you read about gladiators, everyone saw the movie Gladiator with Russell Crowe and all that kind of stuff. If you read the accounts of gladiators and gladiator life, if you were a gladiator, it's real crazy. You were technically a slave. You were a slave, but people, like kids, aspired to be you because you were the guy in the arena. You're getting all the cheers. Even women were provided to you, liquor, and if you fought long enough, because at a certain point, as a gladiator, you could fight long enough to win your freedom. And if you were the champion of the champion of the house, as they would call it, the way they would honor you and immortalize you would by putting a gold bust of you in the house. Does that sound familiar to anyone? By the way, these same gladiators, slaves, were traded amongst the houses. They were drafted, so to speak, bought and sold. So from that perspective, yeah, there is a correlation. But that ain't what he's talking about. Let me make sure I make that clear. That ain't what Farrakhan's talking about. He even goes into talking about football. Of course, you got to do that because you can't talk about basketball without talking about football. Because at the very least, you can assume that LeBron James won't have brain damage when he's done playing basketball. He says, quote, you run up and down the field, you show them how swift you are, how clever you are, and they're sitting there watching you, timing you. That's a good one. I'll get him. I'm drafting him. I guess making reference to the NFL Combine. It's like, look, dude, like, what the hell is, like, I'm always going to be this guy. I do it with when I hear just stupidity like this, when organizations like Black Lives Matter pop up. What is the point? What do you propose happen? LeBron James void his contract and walk away from basketball? Cam Newton walk away from for football? What am I doing? I'm like dyslexic today or something. Like, what is your overriding point in pointing out the fact that you're telling me that the NBA is slavery and that young black kids shouldn't be able to play basketball in their neighborhoods because it's just a trick by the white man. What the hell? Come on, man. Like, I'm going to point out this stupidity at every turn. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to hear this on Colin Cowherd or on Mike and Mike or Dan Patrick. You ain't going to hear it there. They're not going to touch it, you know, because they the ones sitting back there laughing at how stupid it is. And I'm laughing at it, but, you know, in another realm. Because it's sad, man. The pandering, the race baiting, it's ridiculous, man. And for those of you who continuously fall for it, help yourself. I was on some different stuff yesterday, man. Like, people was just getting on my nerves yesterday. Like, everybody was posting like this ridiculous religion stuff, and I think that's probably what set me off later on tonight when that abortion stuff came up about that little girl getting raped and being forced to have the baby. Like, I think all those things culminated to just make me be like, you know what? F people, man. People are stupid. Plain and simple, people are stupid. You know what I mean? Like, somebody posted something yesterday about, I don't know if it was fictional or if it actually happened. Doesn't matter. It was about the responses. That a young lady, a woman walked in, came home early and found her son fellation another dude, right? And she didn't accept it, and it was wrong or whatever her feelings were. But inevitably, she kicked her son out of the house because he was in love with a man or another male. And so the question was posed to people, was she right and all this kind of stuff. And in 2016, it just amazes me. It amazes me, man, that people are still on that. That your religion will supersede your love for your child just because his or her sexual desires are for someone of the same sex. Like, if I don't understand how you say you love that person the day before you found out about his or her sexual preference or it's not orientation, is it? Sexual preference. But just that one thing will make you turn your back on the person. Like, you ain't, if that's you ain't crap. Like, I used to hang out with a dude that was like that. It's like, man, my son told me he was gay. I'd kick his ass. And what is that going to do? What is that going to do? It's just, like, and people wonder why I don't like people. And they think I'm just, like, antisocial. I ain't that. I just think people are full of it, man. And people are stupid. You know what I mean? People are so stupid. Like, something else, like, I think I posted yesterday that, excuse me, that something's going on with me. that they were posting, like, Rick Ross' house and Kanye's house, and then, like, it's like Beyonce's mansion, like, these mansions, and then the fourth picture was, like, a little house, and it was like, but you want your pastor to live in this. Like, so what? Get a job, cuz. You know what I mean? That's what they got. Rick Ross got a job. And then Kanye got a job. And it ain't one day a week. You know what I mean? Or two if you're doing Bible study, you know? Get the hell out of here with that foolishness, man. Like, I'm all for people. I'm not a religious man myself, but if people find their happiness and they get centered and grounded in in those type of things, I'm all for it, man. If in life you can find happiness wherever you find it at, if it's not hurting anybody, cool. But then when you get into the realm, when you enter into the realm of, you know, I'm gonna treat this person badly because they don't believe the things that I believe in, or I'm gonna deny this person of just a basic human right because they're not in the same club I'm in. You gotta miss me with that, man. That, like, you look around the world, man, and look throughout the history of the world. Look at wars. Look at what the root cause of so many wars are. You know, I don't know, man. Since yesterday, I kind of just been on that for whatever reason. I don't know. Usually, I just kind of keep that kind of stuff to myself because, you know, people should be able to say what they want to and believe what they want to say. But when I hear about a 13-year-old girl being raped, and then if that ain't bad enough, you know, the rapist impregnates her. Then if that ain't bad enough, she can't do anything about it. She's rendered helpless by the government that's supposed to protect her and keep those type of things from happening to her. But then when they do, not making her live with that moment over and over and over again. Her body's gonna change. She's 13. I'm gonna get up out of here, man. I'm gonna bounce. It's One Mic with Big Mike, I of course, and Big Mike. I'm just gonna do it for today's show because I feel myself kind of getting on one right now, man. I appreciate everybody for joining me. Thanks to Renee Cooper for hooking up the interview with Gerald Brown. Make sure you guys holler at Gerald Brown. I can't think of his partner's name right now. I'm so bad with names. God, somebody's gonna really just rip me a new one for that, man. But anyway, it's the Bottom Line Sports Show. It's a good show, man. A lot of you people will like it too because it's every Saturday and Sunday. SiriusXM NBA Radio. It's from a fan's perspective. That's what I'm talking about. As you know, this show is definitely not from that. You know what I mean? I ridicule fandom. It's Sirius Channel 207 and XM Channel 86 if you're interested. Also on Blog Talk Radio, you can catch Gerald Brown. I don't know if it's called a Gerald Brown Show or not. Not sure, but you guys can find all that stuff out if you follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Gerald, spelled with a G, ERALD, BLSS. That's at Gerald BLSS. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here. I got some work I gotta do, some things I gotta take care of tomorrow as well. So I will see you guys on Wednesday. Have an all new show. Hopefully I have somebody joining me. Just follow me on social media. You'll find out who be joining me, if anyone, on Wednesday evening. So you guys enjoy your Tuesday, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday as we try to get on over the rest of that hump together at 7 p.m. live right here on Spreaker.com and the Spreaker app.